Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge, where I sit with some of the theater's best and brightest, chatting it up. This time, it's Academy Award nominee, actor-playwright Jesse Eisenberg on the set of his hit show, Asuncion, playing here at the Cherry Lane Theater through December 18th, produced by Rattlestick Playwrights Theater under the direction of Kip Fagan. Joining Jesse and I are his co-stars Justin Bartha, Camille Mana, and Remy Aubergenois. I loved the play, had the best time watching it, and loved all of your performances.
Thank you.
So I want to start with Jesse. I want to talk about how the play came about for you to write and why you wrote it.
I was interested in exploring these characters that think they know a lot about the world, are very educated, have access to and the knowledge of a lot of information about the world, about race, about politics, about class, but very little life experience. And so, and then I thought it would be interesting to bring a character from the outside world into those people's lives and see how they react and see all the kind of the naive assumptions they would make about her. And so that's where it started.
Okay, and Justin, I know that you guys are good friends, so tell me how the play came. I love this. I know there's a story with this cast, which we'll get into. How the play
We
came
all slept
about
with
for
Herman
you.
Cain.
Yes.
You slept with Herman Cain too?
Well, how the play came to you in the role of Vinny.
Jesse Eisenberg, he sent me the play. You know, we over the years have developed a friendship, just purely out of no one else would be friends with us, I think. And so we would send material to each other, I think, and he sent me this play that he'd written. He sent me a couple plays that he'd written, which Asuncion being one of them. Was it called Asuncion?
Mm-hmm.
It was?
Yeah.
Oh. And it was obviously very good, and we would do a couple readings over the years, and I think he wrote the character of Vinny with me in mind, kind of, part of an amalgam, I think, of other people, and so it was just a chance. We had worked together once before, and it was a chance to work together again.
She's kind of hot.
Vinny, please don't say that. Don't sexualize her.
Why not? She is.
No, she's not for that kind of consumption. She's to be pitied. She's a victim, okay? She's a sex slave victim.
Yeah, she is because she's hot.
Vinny, please.
Edgar, don't feel so guilty.
Women like her, if she's a sex worker, and don't say slave, they think of sex differently. They're trained to do it to please the man rather than receive pleasure themselves. So it's thought of like a service rather than a recreation.
No. Sex should be a mutually enjoyable experience if it has to be had.
So should skiing, which you hate, but when your fat little girlfriend wanted to go skiing, you went with her because you were fucking her and it was worth it. Sometimes two people do things that one of them enjoys more.
Huh, that's not a bad point.
Fuck you, don't condescend.
Is it easy, Jesse, when you're writing a role with someone's voice in mind? Is it easy to write a play that way?
Yeah, it's easier. I actually I saw Remy in a play while I was writing it. Justin and I had worked together on a movie, and those voices stayed in my head. Camille, I just got so lucky because I had kind of written it with another voice in my head of somebody that I knew who's not an actress, and Camille does it so differently, but so much better than I ever could have hoped for or imagined.
Yeah. Camille, New York debut. Mm-hmm. Tell me what the whole experience has been like and how you were cast in the show.
We'll talk about that after. But actually it's been fantastic, and it's been fantastic. I mean, like you were saying, they're both old friends, and so sort of jaunting for me to come out here and play the title character in my first play in New York, and with these great actors, and it came to me like a year and a half ago. Like Jesse had asked me to do it, and I remember reading the email. It was from one of my reps, and it was just like, "Oh, Jesse Eisenberg would like you to play the female lead in his passion project. Do you want to do it?" It's like, really? Yeah, of course. So I mean, luckily we get along really well, and everybody else as well, and It's been pretty phenomenal, and they welcomed me with open arms.
She was kind of like this big black woman, and she kept saying, I want some OJ! I want some OJ! I can't do the voice, Vinny, you do it!
Give me some OJ.
Do it again better!
Can you believe it?
She said she's gonna stay with us for a few days.
Oh, only if it's all right. I don't want to be a burden.
You could never be a burden. Of course it's all right. Everything okay at home?
Yeah, we're not in any danger, don't worry.
And for you, Remy, what attracted you to the play and how did it happen for you?
Same thing. Jesse reached out to me, as he said, he saw me do a play at the Atlantic, Anon, and I guess he recognized some familial connection buried deep inside us. It was
Yeah, because we play brothers in the.
he thought, oh, he could be my brother, and so he reached out to me, and I responded to the play, and I felt like it was something I wanted to support, and obviously he's a precocious artist, so I wanted to support him, and do it, and the part is a blast.
What I love about the theater is, actors come together and you get a play, and you form this family, and you try to do the very best. You go through the trenches together, putting on a show. So what has it been like working together, all of you? Because you guys are friends, so what's that dynamic like?
Well, I think, the friendship thing, you can cut through the bullshit a lot easier. So there's a shorthand, and so, there's certain sensitivities that I think you can kind of, take liberties with. And also there's, already you don't have to, suss each other out as much as you do other, the actors are sometimes like animals where you kind of have to sniff around and see like what's the comfort zone with each person. And then it takes a bit of thawing for the family kind of to see what the dynamic is. So that's what the friendship brings to it. Easier, it's just an ease. But when you're working with such talented people, I think the mutual respect just allows that familial thing just to ease in a little faster.
Yeah, and Jesse, for you, working with a friend and working with Camille and Remy.
When I act in a movie, I would compare the experience of working with the other actors as like kind of being on a cruise together. Like you have a fun time and it's nice.
All the food.
All the food, yeah. And also that you're kind of separated, from your life. But I would but the experience of working on a play with actors and is like being in like a life raft together. Yeah, like I feel like we're all staying afloat just because of each other, and it's such an intense experience. And if you're not surrounded by people you like, and I've been fortunate enough to not have to have that experience, and especially with this one, I can only imagine it must be awful.
And for you two, working with these two, what the whole experience has been like?
It's funny, actually, that the dynamic of the play, I hadn't thought about it in these terms, but in a way the dynamic of the play is sort of recreated because they are friends, and they have their language, and that you said it's easy to cut through the bulk, and then we're kind of outsiders, and she's come from far away to do the play, just as her character has come from far away to come to America. There's an interesting sort of echo.
Totally, except there's not an Asuncion, there's just two Edgars. And then, I'm just kidding, yeah, I don't know who the Asuncion of the cast is, but it's not me.
Jesse, I want to talk to you about screenwriting and playwriting. You write screenplays and you write for the theater. What's the difference for writing for the theater and getting this play produced here at Rattlestick?
This is a dream come true in every respect. I wrote screenplays when a long time ago and stopped because every time I would give the script to the producers who were developing the scripts with me, all the notes would be kind of centered on making the characters either more likable or making the product more commercially viable. And with David Van Asselt, who runs the Rattlestick, my experience with this play was the total opposite. It was always about making it less interesting tonight. No, it was just about kind of discovering what the play really was and making, and all the changes were kind of just to accommodate the true nature of the play rather than some kind of outside hope. And so theater is, for me, in my limited experience writing for it, it's a lot more freeing creatively, and the Rattlestick has just been the most unbelievably supportive developer of that.
Because you always wanted the play done by Rattlestick, didn't you?
Yeah, when I had been exposed to this theater company by Lucy Thurber, who I'm friends with and who's had plays here, and when I started going, I just thought this is the most unbelievable theater. They do stuff that really couldn't be done elsewhere because it doesn't kind of necessarily fit into the context and boundaries of a lot of theaters, a lot of seasons of theater in other theater companies, and sometimes you would see something that was just brilliant and flawed in a weird way, and sometimes you'd see something that was perfect and brilliant and it just probably couldn't be realized in the same way at another place.
My next question is for everybody. When did you all fall in love with performing and acting? Do you remember what that defining moment was where you're like, I want to do this?
For me, I was in high school. We were doing a production of Inherit the Wind, and I was playing Meeker, and I was sweeping up the stage. I was alone on stage, and I was just sweeping, and it was like a experience where the audience just kind of disappeared, and I just felt like a kid that had no idea what acting was, but just felt so at ease and comfortable, but in another kind of parallel universe. So that was the first memory I had of kind of what the experience of acting would maybe become.
And Jesse, for you?
I don't know, I can't point maybe to a specific experience like that, but I have it in moments every night, and every time we get to, I have moments of feeling this is exhilarating and this is great, and I feel much more comfortable doing this than doing whatever thing makes me happy in my real life where I have to actually be me. And but I don't have a specific experience like that, but have kind of glimpses of it, on a moment-to-moment basis.
Because you started very early on. You started doing like musical theater at the age of 6?
Yeah, I did children's theater when I was like 6 or 7, and then I started auditioning for professional things when I was like 14 years old, because we lived right outside the city.
Yeah. And Camille, for you, what was that defining moment when you said, I want to do this?
There were like little seeds planted. I remember I was 10 when I saw Phantom of the Opera in LA, and I remember I went straight home, and there's like a free newspaper called The Penny Saver, and we started looking and like, how do I get an agent? Like, how does somebody become an actor? But then that got shot down pretty quickly at 10. And then I remember in middle school, there was this TV show called My So-Called Life, which is so dated now, but I remember like seeing Claire Danes on there, and that show was all about teen angst, and I was like, oh wow, that really affected me, and I related to that, and I wanted to be able to do that and reach other people that way too. And so I started reading like all the How to Be a Working Actor books then, like with a flashlight under my pillow, because my parents would like throw me in the river if they knew that's what I wanted to do. And then I started doing like children's musical theater and all that stuff too at that point, and driving to LA when I was 16 to like get an agent and go on little auditions and take class in LA and stuff. So
For me, it's a little bit like taking over the family store because it's a family business. My mom and my dad were both actors. My sister's an actor. But I think the moment when I really I was 6 years old, and there was a production of The Hobbit at my elementary school, and I was playing Gollum, and it was the whole school was part of it, and they
Ahead of your time.
they had us mic'd because it was outside or something, and they asked me what I wanted it to sound like, and I said I want it to sound like I'm underwater, and so they like piped it through some synth. This was in like 1980
very high-tech
or
elementary
something.
school.
They piped it through some like synthesizer.
How old
I was
were
like
you?
6 years old. And
They listened to you?
Yeah. And,
This kid is a genius.
no, they just, whatever. They were noodling around, And it was like, every time I talked, it was like, and I was just so amazed that you could affect that kind of transformation, and they gave me some glow-in-the-dark costume, and I just had a great time,
You were hooked.
Yeah, I was hooked. That was it.
Purity at its
and there had been
best.
a sort of I would have people, my parents' friends, well, you're going to be an actor too, aren't you? And I didn't understand what that meant, but there was sort of laid in. It took me many, many years to work that one out. Yeah.
Because my second part of his question is, when did you first realize you could actually make a living at this?
Can we?
Yeah, I'm still waiting.
It comes down to that. Everybody I speak to, stars, everybody says, I don't think I'm ever going to work again. I don't know where my next job is going to come from.
I still feel that way too after when the show is over. You feel like, oh, we'll probably be canceled tomorrow and we won't come back for another one. I've had little moments of feeling like I've like I have like some stability for a while, but you always end up going back to that feeling. And I think maybe we have that feeling maybe for some utility. I mean, I don't know.
Well, part of it I think is that I think boiled down, actors tend not to admit it, but we're so lucky. I mean, it's such an amazing job to be able to do, and every job you do feels like, well, I just won the lottery. I can't believe I actually get to do this for a living. So there's no way I could continue and sustain this. It's impossible, because this is what a dream is. Yeah. I think any artist in a sense that's able to sustain their lifestyle by doing what they love to do, it seems like it's not real. Because especially if you grow up in kind of a blue collar background where you see your mom or your dad go to work every day and have to do something they don't love to support their family, it's even harder to realize.
I'm most struck by coming out here, finding out how much everybody makes doing plays, because I mean, at least in LA, when you work, you actually make money for that short time you're working, or even there's other ways to make money in LA besides uncouth ways. I mean, I just don't know how anybody makes a living in New York City as an actor, because in LA I think it's a lot more commercially viable to kind of ebb and flow through the years and make a lot of money here and then not for a while and then some again. So I don't know, how are you guys?
Again, for me, my dad had about as regular a job as you could have when I was a kid, and so for me it was actually a sort of reverse realization that actually that's atypical. Mm-hmm. And so my education as I've become a professional actor has been about struggle. So that it's very difficult to make a living doing this. That the modeling that I had was, my dad was doing Benson when I was growing up, and he would go to work. It was like a regular 9-to-5 job, as sort of cushy as it gets for an actor in that way. So the modeling was totally different for me. Mm-hmm. And I'm, you piece it together, and there are years when I don't make a living fully as an actor, and you do other things, or you know what I mean.
Sure.
It's like swinging from vine to vine and hoping that the next one is there, and catching it on the way down.
I want to ask you two. I mean, you two do hit movies. I mean, you were Oscar nominated for your terrific performance in The Social Network. You're in one of the biggest franchise sets of movies with The Hangover and all.
2 of them.
Yeah,
Right.
But you come back to the theater.
Well, it's just another opportunity to do something that I feel good about. I don't consider if that medium is a movie or a play. I just like doing the role, and this is the space wherein we get to do it. There's something nice, of course, about the different kind of muscle it takes, to do the same thing every night, and to get to live out the experience of the character in full, rather than doing kind of small snippets over the course of a few months. And of course, playing it for a different audience each night is really interesting for us. Some nights it plays, kind of, like more of a comedy, and some nights it plays more, I guess, dramatically, or they're just not laughing. And we say it plays dramatically. That's our euphemism for they don't like it.
For when it's hot in the theater.
Yeah. And that's kind of, it's interesting for us, and it tests, I could speak for myself, it tests me in a way that a movie just can't, because they're editing it in such a way to kind of exact a result that has less to do with what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's an extension of what Jesse's saying. The stretching a different muscle. For me, it's kind of this concentrated energy that you get to experience with theater, where you live within a character and a situation for 2 hours, and you just have to sustain that energy amongst that time in that play, and you work on it and rehearse, and it's a different process to arrive at what that result is. And with a movie, it's kind of this extended energy where it's piecemeal, and you have to find the right energy. It's more like math. It's like mathematical equations. You have to find the right energy for the right day, for the right scene, and you piece it all together. And it's a collaboration with technology, whereas theater seems like this kind of primal muscle stretch. Literally, it's we've wanted to do this, and this is you on a stage doing it, and there's something very freeing and satisfying about it.
The night that I was here, the audience was it was such a wild, mixed audience. It was like hipsters, college kids, high school, theater people, couples, middle-aged families. It was such a great mix of people.
And senior citizens, they're allowed.
And some senior citizens, yeah. But I think they drive the car, don't they? It's like you said, you never know some nights how the show's going to play itself out.
Yeah.
Is it going to run faster or funnier or slower? I mean, they really drive the show sometimes, the audience, don't they?
Yeah, especially in a show like this where it's comedic, but not necessarily every moment is supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
And so they even have more of a hand in it because they can kind of decide how it's going to be framed for the rest of the audience, and sometimes it might even just be two people who decide, kind of have loud laughing, and they kind of just set the tone in a strange way, and then it turns the play in a different direction. So yeah, it's interesting for us and provides kind of an interesting challenge every night.
You're coming into the home stretch with this run here. What are you going to miss the most, and what's been the best part of the experience for each of you with doing the show?
I have a really cathartic moment towards the end for my character, and that always feels good at the end of the day to sort of work it out. So I'll miss that. I'll miss the people for sure, and I'll miss strolling down lovely Cherry Lane to come to work every day. So
this has sort of been like the first page of a very new chapter in my career. It's my first time playing an adult, it's my first time playing an immigrant, and it's sort of just been probably one of the biggest and most important chapters in my life. I think 20 years from now it will be. So I'm going to miss the entire experience and everybody and being here and everything about it.
Same thing, I had this moment on stage early on in the previews where we were all on stage together. There's only kind of brief moments where the four of us are really there together, and I just had this moment of feeling that when this is over, I'm not going to remember how nervous I felt every night and how disappointed I felt when it wasn't going well, but actually how much I'll miss that experience of being, kind of treading water with three other people. And I haven't been able to get back to that feeling, but I look forward to it during Christmas. Yeah.
And Justin, for you?
I would say the Pop-Tarts and the bagels. Yeah, I'm not going to miss the people, more the Pop-Tarts.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah. But there's another life for this show, I heard. This show may go to the Philippines?
Yeah.
Can you say anything about that?
I wish I knew more, but we're going to do it in the Philippines in 2013. It's, they wanted the same cast, and Kip Fagan, who directed the show, will direct it, I guess, insofar as it requires new direction to fit the new set or whatever. And, so we're very excited to do that.
Neil, did they have Pop-Tarts in the Philippines?
I don't know, I've been there for 5 days once.
Bagels? Is there any Jewish people in the Philippines?
Actually, they're supposed to be for a few days in 2013.
Oh, yes.